So what about people who place their lives according to values? I assume that the values are probably experience-based as well, or is it another word for a principle?
When a value, understand that values are assessed according to what it gives you. I mean, if that giving to you is at the cost of another, that is not a principle, it is self-interested values.
It can also apply to a group.
To a group, to a religion, to a culture, to a race. Have a look, there is values attributed to races, to cultures, to religions, to masters, to Christs, all kinds of things. But none of those things make a difference to the way we live in the world, considering our current diversity. Our current diversity should be considered within the principles that guide existence. Diversity should not be a value. Diversity is simply an outflow of DNA. It's simply an outflow of a coupling that took place where specific forms of information called DNA mix and come up with a life form that is then programmed according to a culture and a language. I mean, it's an organic robot. If we are all organic robots, if we are not considering each other, no one is going to. To claim that there is a God that apparently oversees all of this dispels the whole principle of DNA. I mean, God wouldn't need DNA to bring up a child that is based on mum and dad's DNA coming together. I mean, God would bring the child forth according to God's wishes, not according to a pre-designed DNA-specific outflow, which is what it is. Every human being on earth, every animal, every plant is the result of DNA that takes on form. It was already known before the child is born that that particular DNA is going to be in the child.
It's DNA manipulating itself.
Yes, and that automatically will, according to who couples with who, you know, the various bloodlines, if you want to call it that, the DNA information lines from different families will mix and come up with a new being. But it's not really new, it's simply a mixture of information that comes from the DNA.
So then technically DNA is God.
Technically DNA is God. Technically
it's the one thing that creates.
It's the thing that comes up with the designs that we call life, but it's actually the design of a robot that is functionally useless until it's programmed. So when a child is born, the child is useless and non-functional until it is first educated. This education is programming. When the child is programmed according to principles that do not consider, or values that do not consider all life as equal, the child will abuse. And our education systems do not make provision for equality or oneness.
It's a closed system.
Yes, it's a system that only serves self-interest. It serves competition. It serves a capitalist system where capital, which is power. And what is capital? Capital is those with money has power. That is capitalism. I mean, what is communism? Is that the community should have the power. That means it's equal in one, but that's been abused by capitalism. Capitalism saying, no, we have the capital, we decide. The community has no say. The community works for those with capital. Therefore the capitalists decides what happens in the world, which is all self-interest per se, because they control from product through production to consumer. All points are controlled because all the money is centralized at a single point, the capitalist.
So is there any other system, I'm sorry, not a system, but is there any other principle other than equal and one that
No.
takes into consider all life?
There is no principle we've been able to find in the physical or the metaphysical that consider all life equally. Obviously, when we start to consider all life equally, even our experience in how everything comes forth in the physical will start changing. It means our evolutionary process will change. But yes, at the moment, what we are experiencing is a form of evolution, but evolution from the perspective that it is information-based strands, DNA, that meet and come up with new pictures of itself, new contextual forms of itself that follows particularly the information that is available. I mean, human beings cannot claim in the physical to really know much because they are all based on information. The information is coming through 5 senses. The 6th sense is very much simply a self-reflective one. There was a time when beings had some access to the metaphysical. That has progressively, if one do some research, been diminishing. And if you look at the 1900s in the books of the life and the teachers of the Far East, there were humans on earth that could walk on water and that could manifest food and things like that. That was still possible. If you look at the 1940s, 1950s, you had materialization. That means beings could, through ectoplasm, materialize and actually move on earth. Then after that came the time of the psychics, the healers, the goldsmiths.
Now the UFO cults.
The UFOs also became more prevalent. There was the experiences of the UFOs. There were actual UFOs that crashed and so on. So, but none of those points were understood. There's an interaction at that. Then came the New Age era, the age of love. And this age, the form of channeling has changed to a mind expression completely. That means the being go into a mindset, which is a particular mode of vibration, then speaks, and the message is always the same. The message is always the same. It's always about love, and it's always promising better days which never come. And it will go on now for close on 30 years, the New Age. Started about 75. Around about 75, the New Age.
That's when I first noticed it.
Yeah, and about 1975 approximately, the New Age started emerging with using the love principle, and obviously it was to contain love into a form of future projection, so the experience is forever one of hope, but never any principled living that actually changed the reality for those that live in this world.